What's up, those boys fans? My name is Zach.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is a podcast where we discuss our religious trauma coming out of the Calvary Chapel Christianity Church.
Say it again?
I can't say Christianity.
You've busted that the last like five episodes.
At least 3 episodes.
You're saying Christianity. I think you don't even have to say that. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I mean, Calvary Chapel, Smash Apple, Christianity, Buddhism, Muslim.
Yeah.
Judaism,
extreme religion,
Hinduism.
Our dad is a pastor, and so we grew up as pastors' kids. And we started this podcast about 7 months ago. Originally, just kind of talking, hanging out as brothers, and then about episode 11, I want to say, we started talking about religious trauma, and it stuck. And we started to kind of really grow in our expressing ourselves in our religious trauma, and so that's kind of what we stuck with thus far.
It's stuck.
It is.
It's and. To build off that, you know, there was a comment recently on the YouTube where someone said, I normally like vomit or I'm repulsed when I see males on a podcast, but I like what y'all are doing, so keep it up. And I loved that comment.
I saw that one.
It's almost like two males being vulnerable on a podcast about their trauma is easier to handle. I don't know.
If they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's either you do comedy and you're very funny, and that goes across.
We are funny.
Vulnerable.
We are funny.
We are funny, but we're mainly vulnerable.
I think like most of the time we're funny, and what is funny is that we started a podcast thinking we'd be funny, and here we are being very vulnerable.
Yeah, very vulnerable,
mixed with humor.
We're getting better at being funny in some serious trauma. Talking about like we've gotten so used to talking about trauma now that there's a couple times where one of us will slam a joke in there and then we'll laugh and we keep talking like it's nothing.
I know, yeah.
I love it.
We also were like built on sarcasm. Yeah. So it helps the world spin.
Yes.
Our own father like taught us like what good sarcasm really is.
Yeah.
And so he taught us a lot of really good things.
He did.
We picked up a lot of really good funny and spiritual qualities from that father of ours.
Mm-hmm.
How you been, Zach?
I've been all right, man. My back still hurts.
Yeah.
I threw it out about...
Have you talked about your back on the cast?
I think I mentioned that I've been having back problems, but...
And how old are you?
30.
Something happens when you turn 30. You're not in your 20s anymore.
Well, I've also just been working in the service industry for 15 years straight.
You're like in a 5-star bar now. But really it's because the bar is set up in a way where you're like leaning over.
Yeah. And I think I just haven't been using my abs correctly for ever.
You heard it here. You heard it here, folks. He doesn't use his abs correctly, which means you're working out your core now.
I'm trying to work out my transverse abdominal muscle.
Yeah, that's hard. Just do side crunches.
But the thing is you're like, there's a very specific muscle that keeps your lower part of your spine elevated a little bit to relieve some of that stress. And it's only the transverse muscle.
Take your left leg, put your right leg over your left knee and climb the mountain. Use the rope to climb the mountain, touch your toes.
Right.
I got to Everest, touch the peak.
Right.
And then by like number 5, you're like, ah! And then number 6, ah! Then you realize my transverse abdominal muscle is getting stronger and I no longer have to worry about back problems. This has been a lesson here by Nurse Nate.
Your transverse muscles aren't your obliques. You're thinking of your obliques.
Yeah, of course I'm thinking about my obliques. What were you talking about?
Your transverse muscle is actually what's beneath your rectus abdominis.
That's why you need to go to the cave. Take your knees, bend them behind your back, and go down to the cave. Reach for the gold.
I love it.
Get the gems.
I'll do that.
This has been another lesson from Nurse Nate. See, we're funny.
We're funny.
No, I am sorry about that. And another big shout out to our cousin Jackie, who is a physical therapist. Are you still doing your stretches?
I mean, yeah, every single day. But I mean, those back stretches that she has me doing are just to hopefully try to alleviate some of the pain so that I don't walk funky, because once you're hurting on like the left side of your back, you'll walk weird, and then you hurt your right side of your back and just kind of never ending. Yeah. So the whole goal is just to kind of keep inflation down, which that has helped, but it's obviously a pretty bad tear. So it just hasn't really healed, and it's just getting exhausting.
It's all about longevity, just like this podcast. If you don't stop, slowly things start to improve. Mm-hmm. If you don't quit the stretches, slowly you'll start to improve.
Yeah.
Longevity. Do not give up on the stretches.
Yeah. And I'm just going to continue working out my transverse abdominal muscle.
Yeah. And to help you with your back pain today, I was so pleasantly surprised taking the dog for a walk. I live in a neighborhood that is full of front yard gardens where people have ripped out their lawns and replaced them with raised beds, soil right there. And then you see like onions and garlic and tomatoes. And but from winter to spring, there's one of our neighbors had like this forest of chamomile that was growing out of her front yard. And I always kept looking at it like, I want to grow chamomile. I want to be able to pick my own chamomile and drink that. And there's a little box outside of her house that just says neighborhood garden pickup. And they just put stuff in there. And there was like 7 bunches of chamomile. And so picked a bunch and then picked a bunch of chamomile flowers. And if you know anything about fresh chamomile, it's fresh relaxation. And so Zach, give me that Star Wars mug. Let me see if I can get this nice and poured.
Oh, nice. There's a hair in it.
It's probably chamomile hair. Ooh, that color is chamomile right there. It's going to be hot because it's about 70 degrees out right now. It's a good San Diego. Weather out here in Northern California. It's been just perfect today with clouds, good wind and breeze. I did plant my last tomato plant. I gave away over 22 tomato. Dude, it's hot. I told you that was going to be so. Did you not see the steam coming out of it?
I told you I like hot drinks.
The rest of the casserole. I don't actually know about my trauma today. I did plant my last tomato plant because I got rid of what I was saying was like a bunch of tomato starts. I was able to give so much to you, mom and dad, friends from work. Yeah. And one of my friends from work finally came over and she took 6 of them. So I have 2 left and I planted 1 more. So I have 5 tomato plants that I've planted now.
Nice.
I'm going to be swimming in tomatoes. Give it like 2 months. And this podcast, I'm going to be holding up a bowl. Be like, look at all the tomatoes.
Yeah.
Anybody want tomatoes?
Yeah. And I finally planted at the right time. Last year I planted in July.
Yeah. Well, we both started kind of late.
I didn't get 1 tomato.
I'm like right on. I'm like way too early this year. I'm like, come on.
I am doing what you said, where you just kind of you water them and then you just wait.
Well, yeah, because
they're super dry.
You have the condo, you have the beautiful backyard, but it's tiny right next to that redwood. Yeah. And so your little planter area is like, maybe you get 4 or 5 hours of sun tops in that area. Maybe you're supposed to get 6 to 8. So because of that, you just have to hope for the best, which you guys got tomatoes last year. And so you just maybe water that thing like once a month.
Well, I mean, once it gets hot, it's good different.
Maybe. I honestly think because the thing is that if you let the water, go all the way down, then the roots have to go deeper and deeper to get to that water. And so for you, it's just going to be wet down there for a long time.
Yeah.
And so
when it was really hot last year, man, it was like I'd water them. And then by the end of the day, they would be already like needing more water.
And we've said it here. It was 117 degrees. So you're right.
119 one day.
When it gets... Yeah.
Hottest it's ever been.
We have a great announcement to make. We just got something in the mail.
We did.
Those boys. Business cards are here, baby.
Those boys, business cards.
They're beautiful. For some reason, the quality, we wanted a little glossier, but I actually really do like the Cardex look. He says, healing religious trauma, those boys with Zach and Nathan. And you flip it over and you see the both of us and you get a QR code. And that QR code takes you to our
Linktree. Where you can
and it works beautifully.
Yeah, you can go to our website. You can go to any of the platforms our podcast plays on, any of our social medias.
You're going to be finding this on the bulletin board at churches.
Yep.
I actually thought that'd be really fun.
That would be really
to go
fun.
To like all the churches in our community and just start putting them on all the bulletin boards and like putting them in front of churches and being. I mean, that's a little aggressive.
It'd be funny though.
But it would, and we should film it, post on YouTube, and be like trend. Well,
I've been saying that I think it'd be fun to go to the city and sit on a table and say, we have religious trauma. Let's talk about it and just see who comes up to us.
It's like the kids that still hand out CDs.
It's great.
Like, bro, I don't even have a CD player. Hey man, I don't care. It's like, okay, give me your CD.
I don't care.
$10.
No computer even takes CDs anymore. I don't care.
This is an old school method. $10 cash for a CD. I don't know if I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do I don't know if I can set up a booth, man. This is our booth. This is our podcast booth. You mean for like a video?
I'm just trying to think of content.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, our content's always been this, just shorts from the podcast.
Here we have Zach over here, the capitalist over here, always about that content, baby. Give me that content, baby.
Well, content's great.
What's the podcast that you really loved watching a lot throughout the pandemic? And they would go in San Diego and they would go to their maybe it was LA. They'd go to their board meetings and be like,
oh, Chad and JT.
Yeah. I just want to say that we deserve more parties on the boats or whatever. They'd be like,
they'd always do something
super sunburnt.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chad. Thank you, everybody. It's brilliant.
Yeah, those characters are really funny.
I mean, yeah, I think stuff like it's hilarious. It's great promo. Well, before we jump into it, you also wanted to talk about a little something that we've been dealing with.
Yeah, so
we'll make it quick.
We'll make it really quick. Instagram and Facebook are pretty much fully shadow banning us for about, I want to say 5 months now. Ever since we started talking about religion or our trauma with Christianity, they have fully just stopped showing our content. I think we've gotten 10 followers on Facebook since about 6 months ago. Instagram just completely stopped giving us followers, and they don't show our content to anybody. And it's a lot of work for me to have to post shorts every single day. And I'm just getting a little peeved off.
You're getting a little peeved off.
Because TikTok, I mean, every once in a while we'll have a little boom on TikTok, which is nice. And then on YouTube, they love us and they'll show our content to a lot of people, which we think we have pretty good content that deserves to be seen. Maybe not go viral, but at least be seen by more than 2 people, you know? Yeah. And Instagram, you can go through our videos and it'll be like 2 views, 1 view,
plus,
2 views.
We've made no money off of this podcast from anything we've done online besides from one platform, and that was Facebook. It got direct deposited into our business bank account, and it was wild. And then all of a sudden, Facebook decided to stop paying.
No. So what they told, we had one video go viral, and they told us you could have made $1,800 if you did it all right. That's what they showed us what we could have made, and which is really passive aggressive when you think about it. Because then once we filed all our tax forms for Facebook, they removed the ability to get paid. And then it was like, okay, keep posting. It's like, no, I think we're going to stop posting to Facebook.
We used to get
Instagram.
a lot of like views, and it seemed to be like a lot of hate too on Facebook, but it was just like...
It just completely has stopped.
Yeah, like nothing.
So if you are on Instagram or you are on Facebook, this is probably going to be the last short you see there, at least until they change their ways. They get rid of this blue check mark, $15 a month thing, and they stop shadow banning us. So Thanks Facebook and thank you Instagram, but we will no longer be partaking in your platforms.
That's true. And we're going to ask you, come on over to the King. And what is that, Zachary?
That is YouTube, baby.
YouTube, baby.
Way easier to see all our content. Everything's
We're not saying
clipped.
that there's anything, there's plenty of shit wrong with YouTube and Google, and there's endless shit wrong with everything.
But at least they don't shadow ban random people for talking about religious trauma.
No, and our subscribers are going up. We broke 600. This is a big deal for us.
Yes, it is.
Still not necessarily seeing the subscribers. We're getting like 20 to 30 views on our main podcast, hundreds more in our shorts. But it's this numbers game. What I love is we have conquered this fear of not being seen, because so much of what we're doing when we are up here doing this has like the outcome has been a healing experience for you and I.
Oh, totally.
And some of the comments we're starting to see now, and of course our close friends and people throughout our lives have reached out. It seems like it's starting to touch more people, and people are being a little bit more interested in what we're talking about. And so that's really nice to see and hear. Because we're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and we say that all the time because we ain't stopping anytime soon. We ain't
stopping. Because, Zach's putting out singles and music, and, I'm getting to a point. I pulled out the keyboard, ever since I quit cannabis and cleaned my life out of all of the shit I was on, which is not a bad thing. It's just my decision. I started writing more music. The last 2 or 3 episodes that you've listened to, I think maybe 2 or 3.
You've written them day of.
I've written them day of, because that's how I produce, quick. It's like, give me 2 hours and I'll bust out a track. And it's felt so good to get back to that sort of like creative outlet, that like juice that's inside of me, and I can just feel it. And so I look like now whenever I edit these casts, I look forward to writing the next song.
Totally.
And some of the stuff I'm writing, I'm like, yeah, these are good game tracks, but they might be good songs that I'll build out and like make into real tracks.
Definitely. I've noticed, because I'm in need of the next release. I have a couple songs that are almost finished. I'm just not fully in love with them, so I'm not really sure where I'm going with it. But I was scrolling through the game tracks, and it's really funny because you'll just make them as long as the game track needs to be.
Exactly, yeah.
So it'll be like 22-minute song.
22 minutes
just on a loop, and it's like, I kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, because if somebody was like wanting to pay a subscription to use that in their videos, it'd be like, that's a great track just to put in the background.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything. You could choose 3 of those boys' game tracks and it'd be like an hour long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I try to write them where they don't get annoying.
They're great. The newest ones have been really fun. I can tell
Appreciate
them.
That. Yeah, thank you.
If you are looking to maybe help me produce some music I can sing over, I am thinking I want to go back to Afro beats, because Real One did really well.
Yeah.
In Europe. And, like Drakey, like, cut on your legs, happen back then, you know that I know him. Yeah.
Afro beats, yeah. I would love to write together again. I think that's where the magic happens, man.
It is.
Just like this podcast. We're writing live here and some magic is happening for us and people listening. So let's jump into it.
Let's jump right on in.
The topic that we're jumping into today, that we got about 25 minutes that we'll be talking about. Last week, we talked about victimization, which seems to be a massive role, or has played a role in mine and Zach's life, which we've discussed, and maybe you've even seen it here on the cast. The way we talk, the way we try to express our trauma, I'm sure has come off in somewhat of like a victimized, like I'm being a victim of the situation that we were born in, how we were raised, or the issues of the church. And personally, in my own healing, it's really important for me, I've been working on trying to learn that that's not the case. And even though I've said that for many, many years, that I'm not a victim, I think my reactivity and my anger issues have shown otherwise. And so today we are talking about responsibility versus reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to be responsible, or just that term responsibility? And what does it mean to be reactive?
Mm-hmm.
So, Zach, anything you want to say just off that topic? What have you been thinking about?
I think it's a great topic because it goes right after victimization. And the reason you feel like a victim is because you're looking at everything you've dealt with as the world coming at you. Whereas if you are responsible and you just own your life and you own everyone else's consequences too around you, you start to look at almost like this outer perspective of, I am part of the bigger picture, just experiencing. And it's not about being a victim. It's not about, we were raised in this religious family and it was really traumatic and blah, blah, blah. It's more of like, I was raised in this religious family. It was really traumatic and look how I've grown. Look who I've become from.
Yeah,
it's taking the negativity that you could turn to a victim and just saying, this was meant to be this experience for this reason. Even if it's just all that pain was for you and I to talk about it on a podcast, giving it meaning, giving it purpose, is taking control and being responsible.
It's beautiful. It's taking the hurt or the consequences of our lives and using them for a beautiful purpose. Like it's like taking destiny into our own hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's something about, I think that when we talk about this, I want to start it off by expressing the trauma that I've dealt with, or how it's looked, the insecurities, the backlash that has been in all of my relationships, starting with my family, and how even my relationship to things, objects, stubbing a toe, dropping a pen on the ground, light switch isn't turning on. These sort of like things in life that we all deal with. It's like part of being alive is things don't work perfect, and reacting to that. I've always thought it was learned behavior. Like, you stub a toe, so you punch a wall. I stopped punching walls when I was 16 years old. The last wall I punched, I was about 23.
At your condo, right?
My condo.
Yeah.
Put a hole right into it. No, I was like 24 then. No, it was like 25. And it wasn't like, I wasn't angry. I just accidentally scratched myself putting on scrubs. It's about 4:30 in the morning. And those condo doors are made out of like cardboard.
Yeah, so easy to break.
I say that. Maybe I punched it harder than I realized.
Oh, no, dude. They're so weak.
So easy.
So
and I
weak.
just like barely scratched myself. And it was just before I even thought of anything. It was just like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, looks like I'll be putting a poster over that.
Yeah.
But that's like an example of just like extreme reactivity. But I have been a reactive person in like forever.
Yeah.
And still am.
And I think it is learned behavior. Our father was very reactive too growing up.
Wouldn't you say, though, that blaming anything besides myself is a victimization approach?
Yes. That's where I was going to bounce off that, is it could be learned, but as you are of age now to understand.
To take responsibility of my life.
Take responsibility and realize you can change.
Right.
You don't have to be reactive. But because we have been reactive, both of us, for most of our lives with anger, mostly with anger, something triggers you, get angry, defend yourself.
Right.
We don't have to be that way.
How do you change that?
So much work, dude.
What's the work?
Consistent inner dialogue.
There you go.
Yeah.
You nailed it, dude.
Consistent inner dialogue.
That inner world, baby.
Mhm.
There's two directions we can go in life, right? We grew up in the church where you looked up to God to pray. You look up.
Yeah.
Heaven's up, hell's down. But we're on Earth, which is spinning millions of miles an hour, supposedly, right? And corkscrewing through space.
Yeah.
And
Supposedly.
And that's a joke, by the way.
Yeah.
And so when you look up and you say, pray to God looking up or whatever, that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
What is up when you're spinning a million miles an hour shooting through space? There's no such thing as up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a foolish thing. When you're like drinking and you get drunk, it's proven that you don't know what up and down is. It's like you lose your ability to have equilibrium and to stand. So a really drunk person's like, I don't know what's up or down because we're constantly spinning. It's like you lose your ability to hold that down, gravity, if you will.
Goes the same with emotions too.
Same with emotions.
Yeah.
And so there's two directions truly that you can go. That's either you go outward or you can go inward. And so what is outward? When we speak of this outside world, we're speaking of what the five senses, smell, vision, hearing, touch, blah, blah, blah. And these are things that are thrown at your brain, light reflections, and then upside down, and you get this image in your head to experience the outside world. So there's limitations on this idea of the outside world, whereas your inner self is endless possibilities.
Totally.
The best way I always like to think about it is you took microbiology, I took microbiology, you took anatomy and physiology, I took anatomy and physiology. These were the classes where it was forever I was watching Star Wars. Hello, it's on the mug. Space. I love space. Grandpa worked in NASA, and we always had telescopes. And it was how many stars can you see? Let's look at these planets. They're so far. It's endless. What's out there? So much darkness. And then you look in a microscope on a cell of the human body, and you're like, oh my gosh, how much deeper can we go? Look at all that darkness. It's identical. And these are still our senses looking into a microscope. And so that's somewhat of a perspective on how crazy inner space really is and how little we actually know about it. But then when you close your eyes and you really try to focus inward, this is where the magic happens. This is where I think victimization and reactivity versus responsibility, you figure this shit out, is on the inside. Because if you're focusing so much on the outside, it's going to hurt. The world's always going to get you down. That pen's falling because, it's the pen's fault. And so taking responsibility requires that inner work.
Definitely.
Which there is no blame game for that anymore. So much on this podcast, we're recognizing this religious traumas from somewhere before we were able to make choices. When did you think can you even remember when you started to be able to make your own choices about religion? We've talked about this a lot, but when you really started thinking on your own, when was that?
I mean, where I felt like I was in control and okay with thinking on my own was 24.
24.
Yeah.
But 13, 14, 15, right? That's when you start making your own choices as a kid. I want to play video games.
Yeah.
No, you have to do your homework. No, I want to play video games. So you speak back.
Yeah.
And you get in trouble or whatever. And it's I can't make any choices on my own.
The world's against me because I can't play my video games.
Right. Where does that start? That the world was against you, right? We talked about that the last cast. We don't get back into it.
11 and 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about when
going to the teenage years.
Sure,
I think that's where the teenage angst comes from.
That's just when you start to get it.
Yeah.
You start to make choices, and either you reflect that of your parents or whoever's in your life that has an impact. Or maybe you really think for yourself. The thing is, if you have parents that really have taken full responsibility over themselves and an inward, that's obviously going to be reflected on that of a child. Or early teen, if you will. And for me, I've been reacting my entire life in my own relationship now with my fiance. So much healing has happened, so much growth, but I would be lying on this podcast if I said that I didn't have serious issues with being a reactive person. And I don't blame anybody but myself. But I've been blaming a lot of other people and other situations and my situation forever. Why didn't blouse work out? Because my son came into my life. We tried, but it was just too hard. I had to take responsibility over my son. I don't take responsibility over my son. That's insane. I never have. I've just been like slowly learning about what it means to be responsible. What's it mean to be responsible, right? Because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of reacting poorly. I'm sick of being angry. It's so unintelligent.
Well, it's also exhausting. It's so exhausting. It's tough to go through a day feeling like a victim. The whole day, the pen falls. Oh my gosh, I have to pee again. You ever get those thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom again.
You ever get those thoughts where it's like everything's just hard?
I mean,
getting to the gym, getting to the gym's impossible. My legs hurt, my feet hurt. Everything's hard. Why is my life difficult? It's easy to get in these thought cycles and not think anything of them. They're just in the back of your head, but it's just, it just always kind of feels like that. And then someone rubs you the wrong way. And then it's so easy to be reactive because your day has been so hard and the world's against me.
Yeah.
But if you just recognize those thoughts, that's what I've been doing every morning, is recognizing my victimization thoughts on just the basics of life. It's as simple as this, and this is just being vulnerable. I don't want to make coffee again this morning. I don't want to have to boil the water. Why do I have to do this? Sometimes I'll get those thoughts where it's just being alive's tough. And it's like, okay, recognize that you're being a victim here. Recognize that you aren't being responsible for just the work that it takes.
So let me ask you a question. I do have I got some wonderful quotes or just sayings from the book I'm reading, Inner Engineering, that I want to read, and we'll just have dialogue about them because I think they're beautiful, and they actually helped me really learn a lot today and throughout this week. And also I think it'll help us learn a lot talking about it on this podcast. Do you, just thinking about it, taking responsibility, when we say that, is, in your eyes, just right now, is responsibility an action?
Depends on what we're talking about. So what we're talking about today, no. I guess you could be like, in this specific situation it is, but in reality it's that inner dialogue, which is the responsibility we're talking about.
Yeah, so like taking responsibility or having responsibility over oneself is an inner process.
Yeah.
But is that an action at all?
Depends.
It's not.
I don't think it is, yeah.
An action is something different. Responsibility is a state of being. To be responsible is consciousness, to be conscious, right? Like if I were to react out of anger, that's unintelligent. To be responsible would be to not react at all, is intelligent. That's the universe. That's freedom. To react is chains, right? Somebody says something at me, screw you. That's chains.
Yeah.
Somebody says something at me, take it in, be responsible, right? It's like not reacting. It's like if there's a freedom to that, to not react to anything. And I'm over here like, how can I drive in our county and not react everywhere I go?
Yeah.
And every day I'm in that car, it's like practice to be like, nothing is happening at me, right? It's just, there's all these people that are like living and
with as much conscious awareness as you.
I don't know. I think everyone is conscious. There's a difference between people being aware.
Okay, take awareness out. With a conscience.
People are conscious.
So like I think of like my entire reality times 8 billion.
Right.
It's insane.
Here's where we go.
Okay.
I'm going to start reading some quotes. Once again, these are not my quotes. They're all of our quotes. I think that this book I'm reading is not a self-help book. It's more of just like so enlightening and simple. Certain things that we're talking about today are things for me, and I know Zach too, that I've learned a lot from you, especially this week, man, in some things that we dealt with very personally that were just like, me and Zach had a 3-hour conversation on the phone when I was at the dealership waiting for my car. And I was in a dark place at the time. Not dark, just having a tough time. And you were an awoken one, and just really spoke what I needed to listen to at the time. And it was like beautiful, bro. And it just so happened that the chapter I was on in my book literally hit this on the nail from what we talked about last week to now today.
Synchronicity, baby.
it's insane. And do not control anything. Right? Just,
Yeah.
I mean, we have some control over our outer lives, barely, but really it's like not at all. It's the inner world that we have full control over. Because you even said it. Everything's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read some things and let's talk about it. There's a lot of things I can read. Reactivity is enslavement. Responsibility is freedom. We kind of touched on that now, right?
Yeah.
Responsibility simply means your ability to respond.
Mm.
When you react, are you giving yourself any chance to respond? Because that's reactive, right?
Yeah, you're responding out of emotion. You're not responding out of anything else.
Compulsivity.
Yeah.
It's just like slap, bam.
Yeah.
There's no choice, right? That's monkey see, monkey do. Reactivity or anger is literally unintelligent.
Mm.
And I am angry, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm a lot less angry now, and I know that, but I'm still dealing with like that being my first thing.
Yeah.
And it's such a hard pill for me to swallow, to be like, God damn, I've been so like I'm so smart, I'm so loving, I'm so kind, but truly I'm an unintelligent human being every single time I've done that. You know, it's like just the reality.
It's a harsh sentence. It's tough to think that you're unintelligent because you're reactive. I think every human's reactive, and just you have every opportunity to learn.
I don't know, man. Like I don't think every human's reactive. I think I've met a lot of people in my life that honestly are not reactive at all. I work with a lot of them, and I'm marrying one of them.
Yeah,
like my fiance is not a reactive person. Every time that I get angry, I mean, she is reacted. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but I'm saying I'm talking about anger, right? Mm-hmm. It's like when the more angry I've gotten, the calmer she gets, which pisses me off. You know, she's like, now you're starting to raise your voice. I'm like, you want to see me raise? Because it's like that perfect example of like somebody that's like taking in force. That's like, I can't do anything with you. You're angry. There's nothing I can do with an angry person. Mm. I think the misconception is that anger, you assume you can solve an issue with anger, and you can't. That's the misconception.
Yeah. I mean, and then it gets iffy when it's like, when is anger valid? If you're not supposed to be reactive, when is anger valid?
I think taking full responsibility.
Yeah.
Meaning like making a choice. Anger is not something that ever is, I think, necessarily, I don't think it's real. I don't think it's necessarily a right thing to be ever, in terms of like being present. And taking responsibility, being responsible and being free. Anger doesn't mix with that. Let's just keep going down the list here. Echo. Shut the fuck up.
Yes. Beautiful.
That's anger.
That's anger.
Being fully responsible is to be fully conscious.
Yeah.
Once you take charge of your inner life, there is no such thing as stress.
Once you take charge of your inner life, there is no such thing as stress. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because it's like anything in life that's stressful, why is it stressful?
What is that, when you read that, what does that look like to you, taking charge of your inner life?
What we're doing right now?
Yeah.
I know that this is a like podcast and we're talking on mics and it's recorded and we're editing ourselves. We've talked about this, man, a lot. It's like I've received so much by watching people on podcasts and like learned a lot. But that's just receiving. So for us, it's like there's so much inner work that's going on when I'm sitting here with you and then thinking about it after, and then really contemplating like what I said, how I interrupted, what I wasn't listening to. And the things we're talking about is a lot of how we've expressed ourselves are on like, is this how I want to be talking? Like expressing myself anymore? And it forces me to think inward, you know? And so inner work is also, that's a hard question, because I think that I'm learning a lot of what it means to do the inner work. And it's not easy for someone that's been going outward so much in life. I think like in our religion that we were raised in as kids, there was so much that was about God through you. Like, God, I hope that I can have this bike. Dear God, I hope this girl likes me. God, I hope today I have a great day. thank you, God. Like it was almost, there was so much outpouring going out towards God that was taking away from me.
There was no inner self or dialogue without God there.
Right.
Everything you're supposed to have inner dialogue with is to speak to God.
Right.
Your inner dialogue is to God.
Right. Exactly. And I'm not here to judge anyone's relationship with their God, but like I believe now that I'm like pursuing this and truly do believe this, that I am God.
Mm-hmm.
I am in the image of God. And that says that in the Bible, right? The Christian Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something, the way that I was raised and the way that I was like, what I received out of it was it was always outward. It was always like, I got to go to God for everything. It's never me. I didn't take any responsibility over anything. It was always like, God, I'm so sorry for losing my anger. Be with me the next time that I don't lose my anger. Rather than taking full responsibility that there's nothing to blame besides me, right? There's nothing else besides like me.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to do inner work?
It's to step aside and don't think with your ego. Your ego is reactive, and without your ego, you're more responsible. And it's almost like to think of God. It's all our own definitions of God: Islam, Christianity, Catholicism, wherever we want to define God. I think we're all talking about the same entity of everything. Whatever the spirit is, whatever atoms are, whatever space is, we're all a part. Like what I'm starting to believe is we're all part of the same thing. And to take a step back, and instead of thinking of yourself as a being, instead you're more just like a hole through the sheet, and you're supposed to just experience this life instead of be reactive to this life, because
the inner work is to be aware.
Be aware. Exactly. And instead of thinking you are so powerful that you can change your existence or you are the one controlling anything, it's more of like you are working with the universe, and you
are the universe.
You witness your perspective.
It's like as the trees exhale, we literally right now inhale the air that the trees are exhaling. And then as we exhale, the trees are literally breathing in the air we exhale. It's symbiosis. There's a relationship there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I saw some like PhD doctor, whatever, stating that like give it a month and just try to think of your reality as you experiencing it and not you being it. Don't be human. Experience your humanity.
That's
experience this reality.
Yeah, that's the magic.
Yeah.
To be fully aware.
Yeah.
I think that's the best answer. And so the inner work is to be that.
Yeah.
And to be that is hard when you've never been that as much. I think that's what we've talked about a lot, is like a kid from like born to being to 10 years old is just like aware of everything, just experience, just taking everything in. It's like no decisions. There's no answers. It's just like, this happens, so I do. This happens, so I do. Like we can even see it with my son, who's starting to like question everything now. He never used to question anything. He used to just be like, why? But why?
I know.
But why? It was like, dude, I can't keep answering why. I don't know why.
Or he's starting to form his own opinions, which is getting tough.
Which is exactly what he's doing.
This is how I think. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. All right, 11-year-old, this is how you think?
Absolutely, that's how you think. You're making sure that's it. In rage, you become one with a group. Out of rage, you become one with the universe.
In rage, you become one with the group of everyone else that's getting angry.
That's what you were talking about. Like, where does anger have a place? Well, in a group. Like, you know, there's so much atrocities and wars and things that are like camaraderie. That's where you get a lot of camaraderie, right? It's like, it's easy to join a group and be like, that's right, we're collective. Like, there's like a lot of collectiveness here. Whereas like when you completely separate yourself from that rage, you become not one with people, you become one with literally the universe.
Yeah. Well, and also rage is such a reactive thing. It's, if not the most reactive thing. So I think you're taking yourself out of the universe to act. That's the way I would think about it, to be so human that you're using your fists, you're acting, you're hitting things, you're showing your aggression out of emotion. Whereas to not be angry is to, just like we said, to be behind the curtain and just being aware of the emotion. My thing is, though, is there's things that do happen in this life where that could happen that I don't know how to respond without anger.
Give me an example.
Like if someone in front of me killed you.
Okay, well, I mean,
I'm just going to the extreme because I'm like, that I'll probably be in an orange jumpsuit soon after this because I would be so overwhelmed with the emotion of losing you and also watching you die and also watching your murderer kill you that I would be so reactive at that point that I'm not sure in my own humanity the answer to that.
And even and that's you being honest, but like literally the answer, and this is not me answering, this is just from like, I think that the idea is that everything can be used for some greater purpose of being the universe, of like responding to taking responsibility by being able to respond, right? There are certain things in life that you're basically saying that if someone murdered me in front of you, which is aggressive as fuck, but if that was the case, you'd like, I take no responsibility. I wouldn't be able to respond. I'd react. You know, it's like, the conversation we got into was if you're taking your dog for a walk and another dog attacks your dog and you're like, okay, so what do I do? And if that owner is yelling at you because it's your dog's fault, even though your dog's getting attacked, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And we were saying that's a perfect example of where it was like, if that owner's pissed because of their dog attacking me, but it's my fault, it's like, I'll show you reaction.
Yeah.
I'll show you reaction. Like that's going to be difficult to not react in that way.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm getting at. Is there certain circumstances that I can think about that I'm like, I'm not at a place where I can't react in those situations yet. And so I'm not sure if I have any answers for that because I'm still reactive in those moments.
Whatever you do, nobody murder me.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you don't want to see Zach react to that.
I don't want to see me react to that.
Moving right along here, because these are some like, I don't know, Snapple facts. What do you want to call them? What do you break open a cookie and you find a little message on the inside?
They call those fortune cookies.
Fortune cookies. Memory. Here's one. I'll read it again if I need to. But memory has no objective existence. It is not existential. It is purely psychological. We've talked about memory on this podcast a lot, that like memories are what make us who we are or what have you. But like it's not always easy, right? Memories are so made up. Like we like make them up as we go. Like they change. They're not always the same. It is purely psychological. If you retain your ability to respond, your memory of the past will become an empowering process.
If you say that one last part,
if you retain your ability to responsibility, right? Your memory of the past will become an empowering process. For instance, I'll use an example. My past has been trauma, right? A lot of my life has been like, well, I got kicked out. You know, I was raised in an abusive church and I got kicked out. And so that's the way my memory is. Hard work, fighter. I'm a fighter. That's like reacting to my past trauma rather than taking full responsibility that nothing that's happened in my life is anyone else's responsibility besides me. That's just the reality. It's so hard to even accept that, right? Because it seems like nobody should go through like anything that kids have to go. It's not, you know, where's the chance to learn anything or what have you? But I think that the magic really is realizing that like, no matter what's happened in my past does not define me today. It just does not. I define me, which is what we've been talking about.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's interesting to hear that because you hear so many, like, I'm going to use the word guru, but I don't really know how else to say it. But people that talk about like, memories aren't you in the present. Like your past isn't your present. You're not being present. Be present. Be present. Whereas it's like, I have so many amazing memories that are good and in my present. And I like that idea of if you're responsible and you are not reacting, then your past doesn't define you. And the past has purpose. Because it's always been really hard for me to think of being present means my past doesn't exist anymore.
Think about, I think it was the last podcast I was saying that, you know, instead of thinking about how we were raised in the church and these like long prayer sessions or the worship team and all of this as like such a negative thing, but rather what if we were like, when it comes to meditation and when it comes to spirituality now, or like when it comes to like approaching inner dialogue and inner work, we were like put in a place as kids that forced us to learn what that actually was, or at least what that space was at such a young age. We're almost like supercharged to be able to get at it really strongly now.
Oh, 100%.
So instead of thinking like, God, all that trauma, it's like, actually, that's like a huge success story for me today.
Well, because we're taking responsibility to make it a success story.
But that's what we're talking about today.
100%.
Right? And that's the magic. A lot of our podcast has been just talking about the past. And I think that like, what do you talk about on a podcast about religious trauma when you start taking responsibility over your trauma? You start talking about the same shit.
Yeah.
But every time it becomes a blame game, we should encourage one another to be like, I wouldn't be blaming anybody for that. You should take responsibility for it. Like, I'm saying? Like, it's like, just that awareness is such magic. It takes so much stress off to like not have to worry about anything from the past being anyone else's issue but my own. Like, so me being escorted out of my parents' house at the age of 17 is a powerful and successful part of my life. That spring-shotted me into insane amounts of responsibility of what it meant to take charge over my life and to be who I wanted to be and learn the way I wanted to learn, think for myself. It wasn't easy, but it was definitely like a huge opportunity to become that rather than being coddled or held down, which you and I have like polar opposite experiences.
100%.
And so, not saying that yours was like anything. I mean, I've always seen my background as being extremely traumatic.
Yeah. And I've been really reflecting, especially on our last phone call that we had, that we are reactive off different fears. And just by knowing you, that fear of abandonment is instantly where you react, whereas I react on the fear of being alone. Very similar, but also completely opposites. I don't know. I've been thinking about that this week a lot.
It's funny. I was talking to my buddy who's a director in Hollywood. Yeah, that's right. We have friends that are in Hollywood. And he's checked out the podcast and he told me, he was like, hey, I want to let you know, I would never do what you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean? Have a podcast? He was like, talk about my trauma, like publicly. I was like, why? He was like, why would anybody ever do that?
Yeah.
And I was like, so what you just said there, sometimes when you say things, it's like, that's it. We're just being vulnerable and saying the pure part of our like issues.
Yeah.
And yeah, mine is like,
it also,
the core is fear of abandonment,
but it also defining it in front of other people, even though there's no one here, but we post on the internet, we make shorts of it. People hear about it, defining it makes me have to conquer it because I just defined it. I just told the world I have a fear of being alone because of this trauma. And maybe not because of this trauma. Maybe that's just the experience I had, but I have such a fear of being alone that it attaches to everything in my life that I might be alone, react, might be alone, react, might be alone, react. All my anxieties always kind of seem to lean towards you might be alone and this is why you feel this way.
Yeah.
And I think recognizing that fear is responsible and powerful.
It's taking responsibility. Yeah. It's true. It truly is power. Also, it's just really, really, it is really nice to not be alone.
Yeah.
It's just the reality. And and so like for me, it's, hey, you have somebody now who wants to be near, like marry you and wants to help take care of your kid. And they consider them their kid. They're like demanding family with you. And I'm over here like, I know it's great. It's great. Because it's like, what happens with family? My fear is like, well, you get kicked out. So why risk it? And it's like, oh no, but I've been risking it my whole life. Like I want family so bad. And it's like, oh, I have family. I've always had family. You're my family.
Hell yeah, brother.
We are about 50 minutes in right now, about 48 minutes. And I have a couple more quotes. There's a lot more quotes I could read before we jump into the fun part of our because some of them I wrote a bunch down because it built out. Maybe I'll just go through them here. The choice is always before you to respond consciously to the present or to react compulsively to it. I am responsible, or we, I'll say it for you. I am responsible for the way I am now. That's just the fact.
100%.
There's literally no other situation. There's nothing else that gets in the way of that. Nothing from my past, nothing in the future, no pen falling. I'm completely responsible for the way I am now. The ability to respond gives you the freedom to act or not to act. It puts you in the driver's seat of your life. Responsibility is not compulsive action. It offers you the choice of action. True freedom to be. Your ability to respond is the way you are. Say that again. The ability to respond is the way you are. So if you don't respond and you just react, it's the way you are. Only your ability to act is connected with the outside world. Responsibility is not an action. It just puts you in the driver's seat to either put the keys in and drive or not drive. When you get in that driver's seat, everything after that's a choice. Action.
Every reaction has consequences. Every reaction. Could be good consequences. Could also be really negative consequences. When you're not reacting, there's not really any consequences there.
True. Yeah. There's just nothingness.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of, like, you don't even have to say anything, but all of us in life, no matter what happens in our immediate life or in the world, all these atrocities, hunger, and forests is burning up, and climate change and all this, like, none of this is like, we can't take action on all these things, but you damn well can take responsibility for everything, which means what? Inner dialogue. A homeless person on the road. I don't have any money for him. Whoa. That's you. All right. Okay. Or I can't take action for all the homeless, but every person has an inner dialogue of what that means.
Yeah.
Right. Some people take action. It's like if someone's dying on the side of the road, a doctor might see that and take action to save their lives. Or somebody that's not a doctor might see them and call 911. Everybody can take action. You can always take action on any situation, even if you can't do anything truly about it.
You could also call the police and complain about how there's a homeless person on the side of the road and react.
True. That's taking action.
Exactly.
Right? A reaction is an action.
Yeah.
Out of compulsivity. Whereas responsibility just puts you in the driver's seat to make the choice or not. Or to actually just have that inner dialogue. What's that inner dialogue? What's that inner dialogue? What are you? Who are you? And that's like the most important thing. That's where it all starts. It's being responsible as a human being. And that's the universe. That's what like defines the universe in you, right? Like that's what you are, and that pours out. The last one I have written here. Responsibility is not about talking, thinking, or doing. Responsibility is about being. That's the way life is. Not an independent, self-contained bubble, but a moment-to-moment dialogue with the universe. You don't have to work at making it that way. You just have to see it the way it is, which is what you were just saying. We're here to experience life, to be aware of it. Isn't that so much easier?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're so good at having answers for everything, like, fuck Trump. It's like, maybe just don't.
Yeah.
Maybe just stop. Maybe just be aware.
Yeah.
Take some responsibility.
Yeah.
By not doing shit.
Yeah.
And then do some shit.
Yeah.
Act to be, like, there you go. To be or not to be.
Yeah. That is the question.
That is the question.
Definitely. Ready? Responsibility. What's that? Responsibility. Not quite yet.
I don't want to think about it. Better off without it. I don't want to think about it. That's MXPX, baby.
Was it MS? I thought it was Lion K.
No, that's MXPX.
MXPX.
Because that's punk.
Yeah.
That's a Christian punk band. Responsibility.
I don't know.
What's that?
I think like at least in our realm of music, everyone was a Christian band that we listened to. But
there was a lot of Christian bands in the 90s.
There was a lot of Christian bands in the 90s.
The Jesus Freak movement, baby.
There's a lot of bands that didn't sing at all about God, but said they were a Christian band, or at least were on Christian radio. And MXPX was kind of one of them, but they never really sang about God.
Who, if you can remember, and this is like a big shout out to all of you, maybe you would still go to church. Maybe you don't. But there's a band out there that blew up, and they would like play worship. They'd come to like prayer like festivals, and they do like men's retreats, and then they went secular. What were they called?
Switchfoot.
Oh, nailed it. Everybody knows that, baby. I remember back then it was like, do you still listen to Switchfoot? Oh, I do. A sinner. We were meant to live for so much more.
We lost ourselves.
That's funny because that was like their first album they released after they weren't Christian, and that's like a beautiful song. Now
Did they actually come out and say we're not Christians anymore, or did
that,
like,
dude? That
I think they just got on secular radio.
My mind's being blown right now. That's a beautiful song. We were meant to live for so much more because we lost ourselves in the freaking church. What was that? What was it? Walk to Remember.
Yeah.
Welcome to the planet.
Yeah.
Welcome to existence. Everyone's here. Everyone's here. Everybody's watching you now. Thank you. You're welcome. That's how much we were into those bands back then.
Oh, those bands are such good bands, though. That's the thing, man. Is
great
like
bands.
MXPX, Reliant K, Switchfoot, Skillet. These bands
Skillet was
made
awesome.
me the musician and artist I am today.
Made me want to be a rock star.
Yeah. And then obviously once I broke out of the church and listened to a lot more secular music, there's a lot more music that changed.
All of these bands
opinion.
are super white too, because the one thing about like the Christian church we were raised in was white as fuck.
White.
So there was like, there was all white stuff. And then when I met some kids in junior high and they were like, you don't know who Dr. Dre is? And I was like,
dude, we couldn't listen to rap. Are you kidding me? No,
but I was secretly listening to I heard a bunch of like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and I was like, freaking out. And then it was Jay-Z changed my fucking life. Jay-Z changed my entire perception on art. Like everything he was rapping about like Brooklyn and, cocaine, crack cocaine and drug dealing. And I don't know, I'm speaking like an Englishman, but
just on topic of what we're talking about, I still feel quite like a victim when it comes to the music I wasn't allowed to listen to as a child, because there was an era of music from when I was about 11 to 18 before I was listening to secular music. Because I really wasn't until about like 17, 18, where I was like going out on the internet to find my own music and felt okay breaking the rules pretty much.
Right.
That I didn't get exposed to, that you and Natalie were a little more exposed to. But I still feel that victim mentality of I was ripped away from that, because going back now and listening to it, it's not the same. I'm not really into it. I don't want to.
I think that like there is plenty of podcasts that we could talk about with my issues around abandonment, fear of abandonment, and yours of not like fears of being alone from being coddled for so long.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't coddled. So like I was kicking and screaming from like 14, 15, 16, 17 out. You were pretty much
hiding and not really kicking and screaming ever, really.
And I think that has consequences.
Totally.
Whether they were like your choice or not, you have the choice now. Right. And there's like, and you have made those choices to like break out and learn as much as you possibly can. I do think that whether it's your parents or your friends, like my friends had a huge effect on me, and the friends that I became friends with were DJs and like literally like old school scratchers, and they would like scratch like just like Dr. Dre was. And I would go to these shows with them, and I would play cajon, the same drum I wasn't allowed to play on the worship team. I was playing for these hip hop groups. There was a white rap group out of our county. And I can't remember their name, the Lost Role Models maybe or something. And my buddy was their DJ scratcher, and they asked me to do live drums in cajon, because me and my buddy would play like high school dances, and I would play like drums and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I would play with them, and I just remember being like, this is super fun playing like not worship bands.
Yeah. I definitely remember that feeling of playing in a band that wasn't a worship band and being like, this is really fun.
This is really fun.
Really fun.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I want to do this.
Yeah, more. That's what we did. That's all we did our whole life was bands and music.
I'm still trying to do, man.
No, you're doing a lot more than that now, baby.
I mean, I still
you got business cards now for two things, not just one.
I know. But even you just mentioning that you're like, we got to do music again together at some point soon. I'm like, I know. Because there's this deep beast inside of me that just wants to make so much music, and I want to perform it for people. And it's just, it's a tough thing to do, honestly.
I feel like it's going to get a lot easier the more we do this, because the healing that's happening in my life was recognizing how I stopped making music when I started to feel like, once again, the world was attacking me and I was cursed. And when my son came into my life, who I love very, very much, I was so depressed and so scared and so angry about what was happening to me, happening at me, to me, that I don't think I've ever admitted this, But this is something I asked my therapist about 3 years ago when I started. I said, I want to start writing music again and loving it. Is like, I'm pretty sure I stopped writing music because the creativity, like within adversity, there's more room for creativity. But for me, that adversity was an attack on me. And that attack on me sucked all the creativity out, or the desire to even be creative anymore. And that,
or what's the point?
What's the point? It's like, why have a family when you might just get kicked out?
Yeah.
Why write music when they're just going to steal it from you by taking your seed and then forcing you to be a father, right? It's like all these same things that are just at me. There's there's no responsibility there. And now that I'm taking full responsibility and learning what that means, actually learning what that means for me,
you're actually wanting to be creative.
I'm writing again.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that writing with other people, like we're just lucky to have each other. We had 8 years of writing music together, and it was never easy to write together. We still did it.
It was also a lot of dance music.
But that's still so much of what I write. I think it was just like we were such reactive beings back then.
Yeah.
And I think though that like to want to write music together again and do that is just like proof of so much healing. And I'm really looking forward, man, to the shit that we're going to write together.
Me too.
Because science is too perfect. And my music's too raw.
I'm consistently switching it up. And there's a lot of songs that are going to be coming out later in this year.
Just kidding, by the way.
Thank you. That are much different.
But I was totally kidding. I'm just saying that who you are as a person with your art is perfectionist. And I'm the literally opposite. Yeah. If I think something's too perfect, I like change the pitch and I make it upbeat because I'm like, no. And you're like, why would you do that? And I'm like, but can you hear it? And you're like, I mean, yeah, I get it. So when you combine the both of us, you had Blouse.
Yeah.
You had this sort of imperfect, perfect situation. And now we're like, I just think that there's a lot of hope I have for mine and your art.
Yeah.
Like music wise again.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I'm also trying to figure out if I'm a performing artist anymore.
Oh, I think you've always been a performing artist.
I just haven't performed in a long time.
Man, think about it. There was so much with Blouse I wanted. Like I would put on you. I'd be like, you have to do this. And you'd be like, nope. I'd be like, please sing this live. And you'd be like, nope. And then finally, by the end of our career, you started doing it. And it was like real rock. That was like really fun.
Yeah.
And you were really good.
There's always that memory of being at Temple where I just felt, there's some shows, man, where I just started to feel a little more in control and being like, I want to get on top of the DJ booth.
Like letting go.
Yeah, letting go. And whether that be the drugs and alcohol we were doing at the time, doesn't matter. I was letting go. So much. But there's this one show at Temple SF where I just felt like, man, did I want to control the crowd today? And normally I would want to hide and just be on the DJ and just do everything perfect. Like you said, just perfection. You get like that drop, perfection. But this time I was like, I'm going to get on the booth and I'm screaming in that mic and I'm grabbing this crowd. And there was only like 30 people there. Like it was like,
it was one of our bigger first shows. But it was also headlining at the main stage Temple. And that's a great show. But I got on the DJ booth. Oh no, that show, that was packed. That one got packed.
Which one are you talking about?
We started because we weren't actually headlining.
I opened the show like this and it was like no one really was on the dance floor yet. And I was just like, I don't even care.
I remember, dude.
And we have video of it. And I got on the DJ booth and I'm just like, yeah, like took control, man. And I look back on that and there's a couple times on stage where I took control.
Can you remember what that felt like?
Oh man. Crack cocaine is what that felt like.
So I'm telling you, man, is I think that when you say taking control was actually you letting go. It's almost like as a performing artist, the moment you let go, the crowd starts to give you what you think you needed. Right? It's like, oh, I need the crowd to do something for me to feel safe. Fuck the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, we're all there together. So the moment that you're just part of the audience at that point, right? You're like, you know, I don't even care anymore. You stop caring. You take responsibility, which means you're like, now you like decide, okay, I'm in the driver's seat. I'm getting on the booth.
Yeah.
And you get up there and like that collectively was accepted because it's kind of like, there's like a collection, there's like a collective consciousness that happens.
30 seconds of me on the booth, the bouncer came up behind me. He's get on the booth, like yelling at me. And I'm like, rockstar lifestyle, baby.
I remember I looked at him like, I know, but he's killing it. And you got off. I was like, dude, that's what we're talking about. It was really hard to do that, to let go, man. It was like, for you, it was, I remember it was like very hard to not be in your head that way.
Yeah.
And Yeah, we did use a lot of alcohol and we definitely raged.
Yeah.
Which is funny what we're talking about now. That's why I think that any sort of future songwriting and performance together or alone is not about raging. It's not about raging. It's about literally.
Well, I used to
you're part of that. You're like giving. Yeah,
and I used to use alcohol and Adderall really to separate myself from understanding what I was doing, being on stage, being in this front and center, because I hated it so much. Like in my head, I hated it so much, but really I loved it so much. But I would use those to blind myself. Whereas now it's like, man, I don't think I would ever be intoxicated in any way. Weed too, anything. Maybe mushrooms. I might take some mushrooms.
That's crazy because that's like go back in the day and be like, Zach, you want some shrooms? And you'd be like, no.
Yeah, I know. But everything else is so debilitating and takes me out of the present that I don't think I would ever, I would never want to be on stage again and intoxicated.
Because you want to be present?
I want to be in control. I feel like those moments,
you're taking responsibility.
I was letting go, but I wasn't really in control of how I wanted to perform.
Reacting.
I was reacting. Whereas I already know how I want to perform now. And I already know like, oh, I want to control this. I want to do this. I need this to happen. Like I want to do it now. And I see it, that it's just different. Then I was letting the world happen to me. And I kind of want to put my piece out in the world now.
I think the more we take responsibility, which is not action, just everything we talked about, the way I see it is that you are a performing artist.
Yeah.
You always have been.
Totally.
Signs is an amazing artist, okay? You're doing incredible work. It's so motivating to watch you put out tracks every month and then they're getting better or just different. They're just like, you're actually doing the work because I know what that is. And the work you do is insane, like 9 different masters till you get it right because you're a perfectionist. But the Zachary Blaustone that I remember was a performing guitarist.
And that's where my roots are. And I'm going to go back there at some point.
But I just think that that's like 2 different things.
100%.
Being a producer, rapper, like everything, you're everything in the studio. I'm the creative director. I'm the producer. I'm the mixer. I'm the master. I'm the rapper. You're all these things. And then a song comes out every month and it's like, damn, dude, this is somebody that can do a lot. And then there's like Zachary on the guitar singing at a cafe and you're like, please don't stop. Totally same person. Totally different vibe.
Yeah.
It's like you have a lot going on. But when it comes to being a performing artist, that's where you were born. Yeah. You're born into that.
Yeah. I definitely been craving it. Trying it again.
Let me know when you need drums, baby. I'm there for you. Anyways, we could do this. Whenever we talk about the old blouse days and reminisce, it's like.
But if you're in I'm just going to say, if you're in Sonoma County, I guess we're going to say that. Keep your eyes out. Yeah. Because I might already be on a lineup that you don't know
you're
about.
So ridiculous, dude. You're so ridiculous.
What's up, dude?
Anyways, all right. So
before we go to the game cam, just for our listeners that are actually listening every single week, we might not be publishing next week. We don't really know yet. We're going to play it by ear, but we're just letting you know now.
Yeah, your boy Nene is going on a retreat, and the retreat might put me into a state of sleepiness where I need to sleep.
Yeah, you need to take a nap.
Take long naps. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case, though.
Yeah, me either. I think you're going to have a lot to say.
It's going to be wonderful. But until then, here we are again. We're going to go on over to the
game cam. Game cam. We do it every time, dude. Game cam.
And here on Those Boys, we are still playing Mario Kart 64, which we went and just saw the new Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, we just saw it yesterday.
And it was fantastic.
It was wonderful.
Very cute.
Very cute.
My son loves it, and he just can't get enough of it. And there was so much Mario Kart in the movie.
I know.
Go see it. We're not even trying to promo. We're not even part of it. We're just huge Mario fans.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good. And so we are still doing battles. And I have been...
Nate has been slaying. Let's just leave it at that.
I have been doing some slay.
It's okay, though. He slayed. This is his game. This is his game. This is his territory, baby.
You're going to go Toad, aren't you? Yeah, because after the movie, you know what I'm going to do? Jack Black, Browser.
Okay.
I love that we already like...
You called him Browser, dude.
Bowser.
It's Bowser.
It's Bowser. I
It's
meant
Bowser.
that. All right, so we did Block Fort a couple weeks ago. We did Double Deck last week, and we want to do Big Donut.
Yeah, because we got to end with Skyscraper next week.
And next week, ending with Skyscraper is the end of Mario 64.
We'll figure out the next game
Mario
after that.
64.
We have what, 360 we can choose
Best
from.
out of 3.
Oh God, already gone.
Here
need to
we
win
go,
this one,
ladies and gentlemen. Here we
folks.
go.
I need to win this one.
I
folks.
love Big Donut, man. Big Donut's great. Oh, already got the red shell. Boom. Bye bye.
Oh no, I could have
star.
blocked that.
Get over here.
Blocked that.
Get over here. I got a star, baby.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Can't get me.
You're fast. Oh snap! I'm out of here.
No, you're not. You're about to die.
Bye. Don't shoot yourself.
Dude, why is Toad so slow?
Everyone's slow. Get over here. Get over here. Oh.
Goodness gracious, dude. No. No, dude, you just keep getting these red shells.
Oh, you
had a star right when I got a red shell.
Oh, it's so hard to hit people with a star.
It really is.
Oh. Okay,
Dude, I really do feel like
here.
Toad is like super slow.
Everyone's slow. Are you hitting A?
I am.
I think it just feels slow, man. He's not slow. It just feels slow. Fire. Yeah.
No, dude.
Game 1.
Dang it.
Come on, man. There's got to be a little quicker here.
I can't get my head.
I love how it says 3 because it kept us from last week.
I know. Whatever, dude. Come on, Zach. You just got to win this one so we can at least have a good game. Last time you won the first 2 as well.
Ooh, I finally got that boost.
Oh, we both got
And we both got stars. I swear, just like last week, we kept getting the same things.
Oh, dude, just dodged it. You got 2 stars.
Coming, baby, coming for you.
It's okay.
Another star. This
Dude,
is
you've gotten
ridiculous.
a lot of stars.
Too many stars. I want some red shells.
The red shells are so OP.
Hello. Missed you. The one thing that sucks is when you fall in the lava. Whoa, look out. Whoa. We got green shells everywhere, baby. Oh, the green shell. That was close. Oh, dang it. Missing the boxes is so noob.
It's hard, man. These
Come here.
controls are old school.
Where are you?
We're on the other side of the map, dude.
I'm coming for you now.
I'm coming for you now, baby.
Wow. I didn't even hit you.
No, why do you get a star right when I get a star?
That's right, baby.
It's just the game knows, man. The game knows how
Still
to make
3
it.
balloons each. This is a real battle. Whoa, watch out, bananas. Yes.
Dude, you have had so many stars.
So it's not easy. It's like almost harder to hit you with a star. Oh, so close.
I like how we haven't had any red shells. Oh my gosh.
Right when you
I
said
say
it.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
No!
Got you, but you got me. I got 1 balloon. Nate's got 2. This is just really fun. I'm having a really fun time.
Yes, I'm going to kill you with some green shells right now. This is the end of your game. Bye-bye. I'm coming for you, baby. Oh, snap. How did you miss that?
No, dude.
Yes!
I can't do this stupid
Yes!
game anymore. I'm reacting. I'm being reactive. Dude, I came in today saying I was going to try. I got to win. And I tried so hard. I tried so hard. I can't wait to be done with this game. Can't wait to be done with this game. It's unfair.
Echo. Garage on. Well, there you have it, folks. That is Nene coming in again with the final win. There goes the game cam, so we'll just cut it out early. Not the final win. We have one more to go. But I'm sorry, man. I mean, I have fun. Even if I was to lose, I still have fun. I want you to know that.
No, it is fun. It's just, I wish I had just a little more competition. It's like, I wish I got that win. We had game 3.
I know. So do I. But I can't like let you win. You know,
of course.
Like, I almost thought about it. I was like, I was thinking like the Warriors won game 7.
I'm obviously going.
Like, we're not going to game 7. I'm sweeping you, dude.
Yeah, no, we're not playing for the money. Dude.
No, we're not playing for the money.
You're just taking the wins. I obviously was going so slow. You would just be like,
no,
coming up behind you. It's like
I was too, but I wasn't reacting to it. You see, I was taking responsibility for the situation, and then I was in the driver's seat. And
so, are you saying you think that all the players go the same speed in this game?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask the GPT when we get off here, and we're going to see. Mario Kart 64 original. Do all the players go the same speed?
Before we call it a night, how did you like your chamomile tea?
It was great. It's fantastic.
Is it good?
Yeah, it was pure chamomile. You can taste it.
Pure chamomile. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Anything else?
My song did come out. Hold Up. It is on all streaming platforms.
Yep.
Go listen to it. The algorithms are against me, and that's me being a victim. But I would like you to listen to it.
It's a different world now with the internet and algorithms and robots and AI and all that. So I don't know what to say. But I'm also leaving for a few days with my fiance, going up north. And going to do some serious inner work.
Yep.
So on that note, blessings.
Blessings. We'll see you next week. Maybe. Maybe not.
We'll see.
We'll see you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.